Hey you guys, Matt Allen here. I've got our buddy Cobi with us. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we're going out fishing. We are in Wisconsin. This is our last video from our trip across the north. We're back out on the big water. It is the middle of summer. Water temperatures are in the mid 70s, which on the Great Lakes is crazy. The fish are still up shallow. They're feeding, they're aggressive. This will be fun. All right, we just got to our first stop after about a 20-minute run. What we're doing today is targeting great big smallmouth, but we're targeting them in some crazy ways. I was actually in this area on an adventure. We went out exploring last week with my girls, and we had a blast when we realized that the smallmouth were up in the reeds. We were flipping and pitching jigs and Senkos for big smallmouth. I've never seen anything like it. So that is exactly what Cobi and I came out here this week to do. Hopefully those fish are still here. We're about to find out, but they are up in the tules. You treat them just like a largemouth, but these aren't largemouth. Now later in the day, we'll probably back out, go offshore, do some traditional fishing, some finesse fishing, and see if we can catch some even bigger fish. Here we go. No, that's all right. Nice one. Ate a 5-inch Senko in the reeds. Such a strange pattern. Oh, you got followed?
You gotta chase it up, nip the claws, and then the top.
This is one of the most bizarre dynamics that we'll probably ever have out here fishing. So Cobi just got followed up. Normally when you're fishing deep in reeds, these reeds are in 6-7 feet of water, you wouldn't be able to see your followers. This water is crystal clear. It's still Lake Michigan. The fish have just moved up in these reeds. So he's throwing a jig, I'm throwing a Senko. What pound line are you using?
I have 16.
16, that's not so bad. I'm using 12. I'm using a 2-power rod. I mean, we're talking drop shot rod. Even though it's a bait caster, it's a noodle. The water's so clear, you still have to get the bites. They're smallmouth. They can be aggressive, but they can be finicky in a heartbeat. So you still have to get the bites in crystal clear water. But then when you hook them, they're deep in these tules and you've got to battle them up out of there. It's a really interesting dynamic. Nice. Come on, Matt. Nice fish.
There's a good one. Take that one anytime. Saw her spook past a little clump of reeds that I was pitching at. I pitched out a little swimmer, a little guppy head, just past the clump and kind of started crawling it along. Felt it get real heavy all of a sudden. That's why.
Yes. That's so awesome. This is that 2 power. You have no control. You're just along for the ride. What a blast.
Looks like fun.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Another nice fish on the Senko. I'm just using, because I'm using such light line. I said it was 12 earlier. It's not, it's 10. I'm using a little tiny owner wacky hook. I mean, little tiny, but it's pegging them.
Oh! Dumped it. It was like, boom! And then he like.
The dynamic of flipping and stuff where you're staring at the bottom is very strange. I'm just looking around, waiting for one to be staring at me.
Yeah, looking for the fish to come look at you.
Oh, missed him. Look, he's coming. He's coming. Do it. Do it. Oh, he chased it up. He was just out there in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think they're just roaming a little bit. He came even further.
Oh,
You see that?
feed it back to him.
Give him another chance.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
Get him. Get him.
He liked when I reeled it.
Like wiggling. That's interesting.
Yeah, he chased it when I reeled it.
Eat it.
Oh, I broke him off. Oh, that's right. It's a 10-pound line. It's not flipping, even though it looks like it.
Yeah.
Oh!
We're flipping over here. Flipping smallmouth.
We're flipping and pitching smallmouth, but everything inside me, when I'm throwing in the toolies and I see a fish eat, I hammer them. It's 10-pound line. Gotta remember that. That'll get eaten.
Yeah, it should. Nice clear water. Go. Nice. Look at that leap.
10 pounds. 10 pounds.
10 pounds, man. 10 pounds. Remember.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Nice.
That Senko's starting to look pretty consistent. Nice fish. Got him? Nice fish.
Safe bet.
Good job. Woo. Right out of the reeds.
Right out of the reeds. That was really cool.
Awesome.
That was cool. Another fish kind of cruising around the clumps, right in the little patches. Swam a little swimmer, kind of crawled it along the bottom really slow. I'm just kind of inching it along. She comes up right behind it, tracks it, and grabs it. It's hard to beat. One looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Good to see him. Beautiful fish.
Stay up out there.
Sweet. Here you go. Pretty one.
I took that trick out of Cobi's book. He's getting short strikes, fish coming up and flashing on the Senko but not eating it. Switch to that little easy shiner and beautiful smallmouth. Yes. Thank you, sir. So we could see this fish. It was being territorial in like a 15-foot area. It's not like there's a bed up there. It's the middle of summer, but the fish was definitely territorial. Threw a couple things around. Wow, that is a long fish.
We should measure that.
Threw a couple different baits around, and it would dart in and out and look, but it wouldn't eat them. So I took the time to sit down and rig up a drop shot, and there we are.
Got a little twisted up there, but we got her. Come here, pretty girl. Come here. So it's kind of turned into pitching and targeting like the little edges or the clumps, little points that these reeds are making, and just like dragging or hopping this little jig head right through the outside edges or right in the clumps. I mean, I'll take fish like that anytime. It's a beautiful smallmouth. We're gonna get her back.
Oh, good one. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
That was gnarly.
Oh, get in there. Nice.
Oh, that's a big one.
This fish, we're just fan casting swim baits, you know. Oh, come on. If we were largemouth fishing, I'd be throwing a swim jig or a big swim bait. But since it's smallmouth, it's a little easy shiner. Look at that fish. Get her back. But that fish was maybe this far under the surface in about 6 or 7 feet of water in the reeds. And I'd thrown the easy shiner. I was already reeling when I saw the fish. Fish just turned and beelined and just massacred it. No hesitation at all. It's just awesome fishing. It's all the things we like about pitching and flipping and casting for largemouth, but because they're smallmouth, they're just that much angrier. I wish this was a thing everywhere. This is such a neat way to fish. I mean, this just goes to show you have to stay open-minded when you're fishing. You know, you come into a spot like this on Lake Michigan of all places. Somebody that's dialed in on typical smallmouth fishing would never even go look up in the reeds. And all these fish are up here, and I'm sure guys drive by them every day. They're so aggressive. They're really great quality fish. They're big. And if you didn't ever come up here and look, keep an open mind and try something different, you'd never even find them in here. It's pretty awesome. All right, we're about halfway through the day. We've already caught a bunch of fish, and we've caught them a very fun way. But we are out here smallie fishing, so we might as well try and do some traditional smallie fishing. So let's head offshore for the second half of the day. We'll go out on some rock reefs, throw finesse swim baits, maybe hair jigs, whatever else it takes, see if we can catch some of these fish. And by the way, you guys might have noticed that we're not on my boat today. We're not on Cobi's boat either. This guy also runs a 210, just like Tim and I, go figure. A bunch of our friends run them, but we are on a Phoenix 21 PHX because our buddy Lewis was nice enough to lend us a boat. We dropped mine off at a shop. I knocked my lower unit. It's fine, just need to get my prop cleaned up. But he lent us a boat so we could get out here and fish today. So thank you.
Thank you, Lewis.
And let's go fishing. All right, that didn't take long. So what we're doing now is more of that traditional fishing. We're out on a rock bar. Way back there in the back is where we were just fishing, up in the reeds. Now we're out on a rock bar that's 4 to 10 feet of water. And these post-spawn summertime fish are just set up out here feeding. The current comes through, just a natural area for them to be. And they look aggressive.
Fella, but kind of confirms what Matt was just talking about. They're sitting right off this little edge. The current blowing in here. I'm doing one of my favorite things. Winding an Offshore head. Offshore screw head, I'm sorry. See if we can get some of the right ones.
That one right there. Got him.
Nice black. Oh, that's pretty. Look at the one with him. There's another with him.
Oh yeah.
No, go for it.
Money went that way.
Fast. Nice fish. See how they lighten up as you fight them too?
Isn't that
You
funny?
ever notice that?
Yeah. Yeah, on his first jump, he's jet black.
Yeah.
Nice fish. Nice fish. Sort of. Like a smallie, only smaller.
Mini. Well, we've gotten several bites up here, and so I think we're on the right pattern, but these are certainly not the right size fish. So we're gonna make a move and see if we can find some of the right ones.
Good job. Net? Yeah.
She's all striped up too.
Good job. That's the one we were looking for.
Yeah, it's been working for them since we moved offshore, but there's a few around. Little guppy head with spark shad sealed the deal. That's a pretty one. What a beautiful fish. And Matt's got another one. Might be in for some fun here. That's a good one.
Here, Jake.
You in it?
Sure. Light line.
Yeah.
Nice. Switched it up. Went to the black hair jig. Northern trick for catching these fish. Nice fish. Just basically a black marabou jig. If you're not familiar with it, it essentially looks like a, I don't know, what's it look like to you?
Leech?
Think it's a leech?
Yeah, leech.
Black leech. It swims
Insect of some sort.
in your hand. It looks silly. I put a little piece of plastic inside there, like a little bit of a Senko, just for some mass. And the marabou kind of flows around it, and it really swims well in the water. You just steady retrieve it. It's very different, but they eat it.
Oh yeah. one more. We got a couple of them kind of hanging out in like a little wolf pack, or roaming off of this edge. Yep. Roaming off of this edge right here, and they're following up our baits. We're just getting short strikes, nips and stuff, but just kind of slow it down. And I'm just ticking the rocks right on the bottom, tick, 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 and they'll come up behind it, and you feel that little dink, and it just gets heavy. It's pretty cool. So as you've just seen, we're kind of fishing through this big flat. We kind of already worked through it one pass with small swim baits on regular goby heads or small ball heads. And as we're kind of going back through, I picked up one of my favorite options for, you know, kind of showing fish something different, or showing spooky finesse fish that are kind of roaming up real shallow, is the Okashira screwhead. So what this is not all that different than, you know, the guppy head or a regular ball head that we've been fishing, but what they added is a little propeller on the collar right there. And the propeller has one leaf that is larger and offset, so that causes the bait itself, not only does it make the bait undulate or move underwater, but it adds a little bit of like a whirring sound. And that noise, I think, is just adds something a little different, because smallmouth are such a curious fish by nature. So it adds something a little bit different. And a lot of times you'll get them to just come look at it. You know, they hear it, I think they feel it, and they hear it under the water, and they just come look at it, like to try to understand what's going on. I really like to pair it with a 3-inch spark shad. It's, as you can see, this one's a little torn up, but it is kind of a naturally keeled shaped bait. So it allows the screwhead to track very true. So you don't get a lot of line twists, you don't get a lot of rolling. I can kind of run it straight at a, you know, at a regular, you know, medium speed retrieve, and it doesn't kick out or blow out because of the way that bait is shaped and keeled. So that's one of my favorite options for not only just smallmouth on the Great Lakes, but you can use it for largemouth and stuff as well too. So give that a shot if you're working through something, you're fishing an area that's a little different, and or the fish are, you know, acting a little bit off or not too aggressive towards your standard presentation.
Yeah, I think these are close spots. Nice job.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. They're just setting up right here off the ridge where I put off the pond. Nice easy zone. Oh, feisty one. He's not quitting. He's like... Come here, little buddy. Got another one. Cute little fella.
All right, guys, with that one, I think we're gonna head on in. I don't know if you can see out there past us to the thunderheads, but when you're out here on the big water, it's not a thing that you just screw around with. You've got to treat it with respect. You don't make crazy judgment calls, you play it safe. So on that note, it's been a good day. You know, we got to fish shallow. We caught them on the Senko. We caught them on small swim baits. We'll link all the exact baits down in the video description. Then we came out here to do some more traditional fishing, getting them again on the small swim bait and the hair jig. It's just too much fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it half as much as we did. Been a blast out here. Glad that you could come along with us. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.